Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. Today is Friday, September 28th, 2018. And tonight's topic, amongst others, JP Morgan's COMEX vault sheds another 1,784,222 ounces of silver. Yet again, let's take a look first, though, at the prices of gold and silver today. Very, very interesting day today for gold and silver. The gold price rose a decent amount, about $8, opened at $11.83, got up to about $11.93, and pretty much stayed there. Market is now closed up about 0.67%. Now silver did even better. Silver was up about, at one point during the day, was up almost, was up over 3%. Let's take a look at that silver price. Silver opened at $14.23, got as high as $14.70, closed at $14.62, up 2.73%. Now the reason it's a very interesting move in silver and gold today is it opened up strong and stayed there, but the dollar index was pretty much flat. Now sometimes gold and silver rise in opposition to the price of the dollar. In other words, they're anti-dollar, and we've seen how gold and silver can rise against weaker currencies like the Turkish lira, Russian ruble, Venezuelan peso, and so on. But today the dollar was strong. The dollar index was at it's at 95.15, actually closed up. At one point during the day, the dollar index hit about 95.30. So this means, and this is a discussion we should continue to have, are there any safe havens? Because some people say the dollar's a safe haven, and now the dollar has its shortfalls as a safe haven. Namely, it's a fiat currency with a lot of debt, both in terms of the deficit and unfunded liabilities. Well, are gold and silver the safe havens? Well, they haven't seemed to be in the last few years when there's been real issues, although I'd say Brexit, people did rush to gold and silver. And then some people say cryptocurrencies. Well, that's nuts because cryptocurrencies are down 60–80%. So what is the safe haven, if anything? And it seems to be maybe there's no need for a safe haven right now. I don't mean that there's never need for a safe haven. What I mean is that the markets are not necessarily searching yet for safe havens. But interesting, today the markets all went up in the dollar, gold, and silver. Now, what did that do for the gold-silver ratio? Because the gold-silver ratio had been as high as 85:1 earlier in the month. Well, let's take a look. Silver outperformed gold today by a pretty significant margin, probably about 3 times, because gold was up about 0.6% and silver was up 2.7%. So it was a much bigger increase in the silver price than in the gold price. That brought your gold-silver ratio down to about 81.43. Still very high, and if we look at it over the 5-year term, there's a lot of ground to make up. If you believe that the gold-silver ratio has to come down, take a look here. Here is your 5-year chart. We see it coming down, but still near its recent highs and near its recent all-time highs. All right, so the other things I want to go through today, besides the prices of gold and silver, is the crypto news. The cryptos had a big day yesterday. They reversed course a bit today. Bitcoin is still at 6,600. That's only down about 1% over the last 24 hours. Bitcoin Cash, which have been on a tear, is still at 5.25, but that's down about 6%. Ethereum down about 5% to 218. Litecoin holding in around $61, down about 4%. and Ethereum Classic down to 1118, or down 2.36%. Now, there was relatively big crypto news today. The largest Indian crypto exchange, ZebPay, ZEBPAY, closed down. Just said, that's it, we're done. Today's the last day. You can use your wallet. We may not support that in the future, but whatever outstanding orders you have, whatever pairs you want to trade, they're going to be canceled, and you're done. Now, the reason they gave for that was the Reserve Bank of India told the banks that they work with to not deal with crypto exchanges. So this particular Indian exchange said they're not going to deal with it. They're not going to work with it anymore. It's hard to do business, so they're shutting down. The crypto exchanges are not forced to shut down, but one of the weak spots for cryptocurrencies are when people want to get out, they sell their cryptocurrencies, and then they need a bank account. And if they can't get the interaction between the bank account and the crypto exchange, well, then you've got your gain, but you don't have it in fiat, and maybe you can't transact. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Now, one of the theories I have, or thesis, that what's going to happen, and I think is happening, and a lot of money is being spent to make it happen by venture capital, Goldman Sachs, and a bunch of others, is to integrate the payment systems of the cryptocurrencies within the banking system. And there seem to be building pathways into that. And so far, there's been no talk by regulators of trying to stop that. In fact, I believe they prefer that because it makes it, first of all, it makes the banks, it's easy, it's good for the banks, they can make money that way, but also it's the best way to track and trace what's going on in the crypto scenes. If people are comfortable trading stocks on regulated exchanges, well, then they would be comfortable trading cryptos on regulated exchanges and paying taxes through that way. So I think that's what's being built out. We see a lot of money invested that way. India may eventually go that way, but I think maybe they don't have the regulations in place. All right. The other thing that happened today was we saw another 400,000 or so American Silver Eagles sold. Now, the other day we did a video showing the 2.4 million American Silver Eagles that were sold up until a couple of days ago, were the largest amount of Silver Eagles sold in the month of September since 2015. Well, today they're up to they'll close out the month at 2,897,500. That's a huge amount for any month. I mean, 3 million is one of the big months during the height of the big years of sales of American Silver Eagles from 2013, 14, 15, the record year 2015. 3 million was a good number. What I have up on the board here is showing what I call the silver to gold ratio, not the gold silver ratio, but how many American Gold Eagles 1 ounce are sold compared to American Silver Eagles. And this year has been a very bad year for both coins, but a really bad year for gold. Gold, you can see 1 month, they only sold 2,500 American Gold Eagles in March. And the same month they sold almost 1 million American Silver Eagles, 915,000, which meant they sold 366 more ounces of silver than they did for gold. Now, one of the arguments for silver is that they're selling more silver than gold, and the relative rarity or plenitude of silver is, let's say, 10 to 1 available. And the theory goes, if you're selling a lot more of it, well, then at some point the prices should come down. Now, this year, I've broken this down by month, and you can see on the right the silver American Silver Eagle sold and the American Gold Eagle 1 ounce sold, and then you got the 151,000 total American Gold Eagles sold, and then you've got your 12.135 million American Silver Eagles sold. So this year the ratio is 80 to 1. Let's take a look at some prior years, see how this year compares to other years. Also done it for, I have charts in this, but I think it's easier just if you want to take a look at the numbers. So we're going to take a look at those numbers. Last year it was about the same. It was about 80 to 1. I think it was 79.06 to 1. You could see the highest year was 2014, when 44 million American Silver Eagles were sold and only 415,000 1-ounce American Silver Eagles were sold. Now, 2015 and 2016, the gold sales started to pick up again, and then that ratio went down. So 2016 was only 46 to 1. Last year, 79 to 1. This year, 80 to 1. However, I don't think the ratio is meaningful this year, because if you've only sold 12 million Silver Eagles, even if you sold 80 times more than American Gold Eagles, you're not selling much of either. When it was significant in my mind was in 2014 and 15, when you had decent sales in both, when you had 44 million in 2014 and 47 million in 2015. And if those numbers were to have gone higher to 55, 60 million ounces, that's when I was considering that perhaps the investment silver demand was going to crowd out the industrial silver demand, and there might be some type of bottleneck shortages and so on. But when you're selling 12 million American Silver Eagles, or about 70% fewer, then I don't think it's as big of a deal what that ratio is. But it's good to keep track of it. I do keep track of it. And speaking of keeping track of stuff, let's take a look at, before we go to JP Morgan, I just want to remind people of what my theory was that we went through about a week or so ago. Remember that whole story about the commercials have gone long for the first time ever. It's historic. It means the price set to skyrocket and so on. Might even have said game changer. And I went through, I'm not going to go through it from 1 to 11. I'm just going to focus on number 11 on the far side of the screen. I didn't see anything unusual about that, because the blue are the commercials. That's the net position. Not every commercial is short. It's just when you net them out, not every non-commercial is long. But you do see a pattern where they're almost in mirror trades, and then as the price rises or falls, they sell off their long positions or decrease the short positions. But what happened, if you look over at number 11, we had a very long period of time where the price was just going down. And as a result of that pattern going down, you can see the red, the non-commercials, were long at the top, and then as the price fell, they sold down their positions. And then the shorts, as the price rose, they started reducing the shorts because the price kept dropping and they were cashing in. And then that line intersects. You can see where the historic moment happens at the very far right, where you finally got the blue above the line, and now they've reversed themselves. And what I had said was, when the price was at 14, if the price starts to rise, I think what you'll see is the natural reaction is they'll start to, as the price rises, the net shorts will start to reduce their shorts, and the net longs will start to sell down their longs. And lo and behold, that's exactly what's happening, and I expect by next week then to be reversed. So let's take a look now where we are as of the 25th. And I'm sure it's even lower now. But now you can see exactly what I'm talking about. You can see that line starting to move down. Now you see how that angle goes down from the blue? The commercials are now almost not net long anymore. And if the price continues to go, I think by next chart we see the reds will be back above the line long, and the commercials, the blues, will end up being short again as long as the price keeps rising. That just seems to be the normal yin-yang that these guys play. All right, let's take a look at JP Morgan Silver. Now this is an interesting one, because one of the concepts is that JP Morgan is accumulating silver and has been doing so for a long period of time. And as a result, they're going to be in a position to sell this silver in the future when the price rises. However, part of that silver, I believe, would be in the JP Morgan Chase depository. Now, this JP Morgan Chase depository, some believe all the silver belongs to them. It could also belong to clients of JP Morgan. But in any event, if you believe that somehow they're accumulating silver because they're going to let the price go higher and then they're going to cash out. Now, I've had trouble with that theory because many people who believe that theory also believe that JP Morgan acts on behalf of the government to suppress the price of silver. So why would they want the silver price to go up if they're always there to knock it back down? I tie in a theory, I don't necessarily subscribe to it, but many people could believe this theory, that if JP Morgan's job is to suppress silver by doing short contracts and naked shorts, well, at some point they may drive the price of silver very low. And if they drive the price of silver very low, that may cause there to be large physical demand, like maybe we're seeing right now. And when there's large physical demand, that could cause the price to rise if there's somewhat of a rush for the physical, and there doesn't seem to be any on the market because there's a bottleneck. Well, one theory could be is the reason JP Morgan has accumulated a lot of silver is not to make money on the upside, but to continue to do their job shorting it. Well, what would they do if the price got really low and they couldn't drive it any lower with paper contracts because they would set off a buying stampede of the physical that the markets couldn't meet, and then the price would just go back higher? Then they'd have to try to short it again, and they might not be able to do it. Well, what could they do? They could flood the market with their silver hoard, and then they didn't have to flood much. They just let out enough to meet the demand, that the excess demand that might not have been able to be met because of the additional buying, and then they've accomplished their goal. They bought all this silver for the purposes of keeping the price down. Just a theory. I don't necessarily believe that. I don't believe any of these theories about JP Morgan and silver. But what I'm saying is if you're going to believe theories and you're going to speculate, you got to speculate many different directions. You can't just speculate in the way that makes it look like JP Morgan has silver and they're going to let it ride and it's going to go to the moon and you're going to get rich. It's quite possible they don't have any. It's quite possible if they do have some, they only have what's in the JP Morgan COMEX vault, and it's quite possible that what they have in the COMEX vault is really just there for them to play around with to keep the price down. Or none of that silver is theirs, or some of it is, and what's left the vault is for clients, which would mean that JP Morgan doesn't have that much silver because their clients are selling it. Could be that it's JP Morgan's and they just moved it somewhere else. Who knows? But you got to think of all the different possibilities and not get married to any one particular narrative. All right, let's see. We've got no one in the live chat unless my machine is not working correctly. If that is the case, we're going to wind this up in just a couple of minutes here. We do this every night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and then the video gets uploaded and you can watch it again. And then I upload all the charts that you saw today on the Smaulgld.com website. We can go check them out there. Thanks to Nick Laird for the charts. Also, we're on BitChute. Smaulgld, on Minds.com, Twitter, Gab.ai, Facebook, and Google+. Oh, now we got some people all just coming in. Mr. Moped Madness, hello. Small, hello, Mr. Moped Madness. Art Davis, does silver have any intrinsic value? Of course it does. Of course silver has intrinsic value. Silver is any physical asset. It's very hard to make an argument that it doesn't have intrinsic value. I love when the cryptocurrency people try to insist that Bitcoin has intrinsic value, or it's backed by something, it's backed by math, or no, it's not a physical asset. To me, intrinsic value is something that I guess you can hold in your hand and it has value outside of its intended use. So silver can be jewelry, silver can be in your phone, silver can be in a spoon, silver can be in a solar panel, silver can be part of some photography, silver can be a picture, can be something, could be a coin. So yes, silver definitely has intrinsic value. And Vilius Karlovicius, hope I said that right, says, hey dude, I'm here. Hello, and good to hear from you. Joe Lazaro, good to see Joe. I'm sure Joe lurks a lot. I don't always get a commentary, so I'm glad we're seeing you. We're all riveted by your commentary. I hope that's the case. I don't necessarily doubt that's the case, but it's good to have you listening. Hi, Chris Clanton. There's nothing to add but a thank you. Well, thank you for tuning in tonight. Philip King, silver beats fiat rot any day. Well, yes, that is true, and I would say you have to look at it not against the dollar. Look at it against, what they shouldn't do, and they don't really have it, is somehow do a basket. I do it by currency, but do not SDR. Do a basket of global currencies, including all the horse crap currencies. Include the Venezuelan, the Turkish, the Russian's not that bad, but it's not very good either. But the currencies that just devalue so much, put them all into and include the dollar, and then do a basket without the dollar, without the euro, and then compare the values of gold and silver versus them. And I guarantee you, they beat the fiat every day. The reason they don't beat the dollar, the reason silver hasn't beaten the dollar consistently for the last 20, 30 years is because the dollar has demand for use solely because that's what everybody uses and that's what everybody wants. So there is a value. It's not an intrinsic value to it, but there's a value added to the dollar because it's what everybody uses. It's what you need, not just to pay taxes. It's really what you need to buy stuff. When they say, oh, it's only because you have to pay taxes in it. Yeah, but it's really what is universally accepted in the United States and in many places around the world. That's why the dollar has value. That's also why Bitcoin or Litecoin one day may have value. Not because they're worth anything intrinsically, but because they're used. And I think that's the issue. If something is used, then it has value. Not intrinsic value, but use value. Maybe we'll coin a new word that fiat currencies, cryptocurrencies have use value, not necessarily intrinsic value, but use value can be a very, very big deal. Think about why you have gold and silver, if you do, is because you want it to go up in fiat prices. A lot of, measure your wealth in ounces. You can do that, but your wealth really isn't in ounces if you need to buy something in your lifetime. If you want to buy a house, you want to buy a car, you want to buy groceries, you really do need the prices or the values of your gold and silver to go higher than the fiat value. Art Davis, how did you get interested in the metals? I don't want to give you a life story. I was interested in coins as a child, and I've always been peripherally interested. I got interested in gold and silver, I think like most people did, more intently at the financial crisis, because that's when you started to really focus on how the financial system, which we hadn't seen in our lifetimes, I wasn't around during the Great Depression, we just assumed that all that stuff worked and that it was real. And then all of a sudden it was gone. And I think that's when I started to think, well, what's real? And then I was in real estate at the time, and I realized, well, real estate isn't real either, because real estate, it was the cause. Real estate is what went down. Real estate's what got hit. So as a hard asset, real estate was all of a sudden a tax liability. It was a depreciating asset. And I started looking at, and gold and silver were actually rising in 2009, 10, 11. And that's when I started looking at the metals, and it was part and parcel of being in real estate and viewing gold and silver as alternative hard assets, but one in which you didn't have to pay for their upkeep, you didn't have to pay the rent on them or the taxes on them, and so on. So that's when I started following them. Hello, Michael Ruiz. Late again, Shark Air. Lose points on your GPA. You keep coming late. Michael Ruiz, even when it's being devalued, it's an illusory value. Yes, it is. Now, I think people get too hung up on that, because it is an illusion, however, that can be turned into reality. So you can use an illusory fiat, non-backed, non-intrinsic value and actually turn it into value. So people discount that far, far too much when they say dollars, toilet paper. No, it really isn't. If you think that, just send them to me, because you can turn them into. In fact, you can turn them into gold and silver universally. It'd be hard for you to take a book and buy gold with it. It'd be hard for you to take a record player and buy gold with it. It would be hard for you to take silver and buy groceries with it. All the things that you can buy, you buy with dollars. So while you can argue that they're worthless, I would say, again, if you missed the part I made earlier, as a basket of currencies, yes, all fiat currencies in general, you're going to be better off with the gold or the silver once you start including Turkish lira, Venezuelan pesos, Kazakhstan tenge, and all that other stuff. All right. Scott Woden had a comment and it's gone. Mr. Moped Madness just picked up another 3 buffaloes and $1.10 and 90% today, little at a time. What are 3 buffaloes? 3 buffalo rounds or something like that? By the way, if you are interested in picking up stuff, there's not investment advice to do anything, and it is a pitch to help the Smaulgld site out. You can buy through the Smaulgld affiliate links, and Smaulgld gets a small commission if you buy through them. You can go to SD Bullion, Money Metals Exchange, Golden Eagle Coins. You can check out their specials, what they got there. And I do get a small commission, but you don't pay. You pay the same if you visited the sites directly. So if you're interested, please consider helping Smaulgld out that way, or becoming a patron, donating via PayPal or Bitcoin, Litecoin, whatever you can spare. Okay. Silver, yes, silver did have an interesting day today. Big Square interest story about the U.S. government no longer backing JPM shorts. Okay. And JP Morgan has how many million ounces of silver? Yeah, I don't know. I when it was 14, even now, I think, you know, it's low. I don't want to make any calls on it because I try just to do analysis, but does seem to be low. And we're seeing that retail investors think it's low because we've got this big 2.9 million American Silver Eagle ounces, Silver Eagles sold in September. I mean, right off the canvas the last 2 months, big sales in silver, and the gold sales aren't that high. Big sales in silver in India, big sales silver in China. So silver is having a resurgence in sales. What's interesting is the physical sales follow the lower paper price, so the price has to come down. And yeah, SD Bullion is a great vendor, highly recommended. Yeah, they're good. I think their bullion is yeah, the store has it's well laid out. It's got good prices. Haven't had any complaints from people buying through the links. They seem to like SD Bullion. I've had less people buy through the other two, but people have bought. You know, the Golden Eagle Coins sells. What if I have them here? They sell. Yeah, here they are. They sell Bitcoin and Litecoin silver rounds, which are quite interesting. They're almost like I guess you could say it has an intrinsic value. There's a Litecoin. No, that one they won't let me print. But anyway, if you go to the Golden Eagle Coins, you can see them. They got like 7 or 8 different cryptocurrencies in 99.9 silver form. So they're 1 ounce coins, and there'll be Bitcoin, Monero, Zcash, or whatever, Litecoin, all those. Vilius Carolophicus. I think the sad truth is most one of us won't live to see hyperinflation. That's the end game. I don't know if that's a sad truth. You know, you don't want hyperinflation. Especially for gold. All gold is going to do is make sure that you're not screwed. Now, if you're in Venezuela, even though the price of gold and silver may be worth a lot, you can't buy anything anyway, and it's dangerous to live there. So you really don't want that to happen. The best thing to happen if you're holding gold is that there's a type of stagflation where the economy's working, but there's inflation and your gold is going up and you can still buy all the stuff you need. Silver, you know, silver you want a spike, you want gold to go up, and then you want that kind of 1980s or 2011 spike. Jason Osario. Good to see. I haven't seen you in a while, Jason. Jason was once a guest to get a very good interview on the Smaulgld Subscriber Sound Off podcast. I'm doing one tomorrow again with Ann Renf. I have to get on some more people on the show. I have some people I have to contact. I'll be announcing. And I try to get people on from their subscribers, not people that you've already seen on some other channel. I don't think that's interesting. You can watch them anywhere else. I think hearing from you guys is better. So Jason says, does the drop in COMEX vault ounces correlate to the treasury sale ounces? I don't know. Artivists. It's great that you let us ask questions. It's really different than just listening to YouTube videos where there's no interaction. Thanks, Art Advice. Well, that's why I do these live ones, is to be able to, instead of just doing a monologue and showing you stuff, is to have the QA answers. Jason says, hey, Lewis, been moving into a new place. Some work change is back in action. All right, we'll have you back on once you get settled. Give me a bell, as they say in England, and we'll do another, find out what you've been doing, what you've learned over the last 6 months since you've been on. All right. Anyone else got any other questions? If not, I want to say thank you. Have a good weekend. We'll be back tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And give it a couple of seconds, see if there's any more questions or comments. Well, I don't think so. Nope. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Oh, I know what. The Smaulgld store. You know, I haven't pitched the mugs in a while. If you want to get a Smaulgld mug, Smaulgld game-changing mug, go to the Smaulgld site now, and I will put in a free Smaulgld game-changing eraser. If you buy the classic or super classic mug, they are the ones that are on the Smaulgld site. I package those myself, handwritten note. If you want the Smaulgld travel mug, or you want the espresso mug, or you want a t-shirt or a hat, those types of things, you got to go to the Smaulgld store. I can't add anything to that because I don't do the shipping there. So anything you order from the Zazzle Smaulgld store comes directly from the manufacturer. I do have on hand the classic and super classic mugs and the erasers. So if you want to order those, go to the Smaulgld site. Hey, Poppy Stuff, hit thumbs up and subscribe too. That helps, I guess. Okay, but can stagflation send us into some sort of reset, revaluation, end of current currencies? Stagflation is more temporary because energy prices. There's a lot there. Okay, so stagflation being temporary. I don't think you want to be in a permanent game-changing situation. I think if you're in stagflation for 2 or 3 years, and if somehow you played your cards right, you could benefit from that. If you're in a reset, end of currencies, you could get wiped out. See, a lot of people, I think they're betting on, or they think that there's going to be a reset, and it's going to involve gold or silver. May not. It may not at all. There may not be a reset. And if there is one, it may not have anything to do with gold or silver. So that's when people think that they've hedged themselves with gold and silver. I'm not sure you're hedged if there's a reset, and if there is one, it might not have anything to do with gold and silver. I think gold and silver are hedges against currency devaluations for sure. But there's no reset because of Turkey. There's no reset in Venezuela. It's just the currency's dead. I guess but I would think that if the US dollar died, I think you saw those videos a few years ago, that's an absolute collapse. And I don't even think having gold or silver is going to help you, because if supply chains break down and everything doesn't work, you're going to be more or less on your own with your skills, with your marksmanship, with your things that you can do, not having something. I think supplies are more important. And the real nasty situations, I'm not sure. I think you're better off not being in Venezuela than being in Venezuela with gold or silver. I think if I was in Venezuela and I had gold and silver, I'd use it to get out. I wouldn't use it to say, oh, I'm rich now. I'm the rich Venezuelan. Thanks, and have a good life. What's plan A for yourself? I think it's just being aware. I don't think stockpiling gold or silver is the smartest thing to do. I think, knowing where you live, knowing how to get water, as Villius says, being able to get water, being able to get food, knowing your surroundings, knowing how to get out, knowing how to defend. I mean, those are your the things you need to be aware of. Stacking, I kind of, I don't say cringe. I don't think stacking is the number one thing you need to do. I think you need to figure out how to live. And I'm not sure that having a pile of gold is going to help you live. All right, I think a reset would scare the normies too much. I don't think government would go that way. Yeah, and if it's a forced reset, meaning everything collapses, then then you're in Venezuela. I don't think at that point you're better off knowing the people in the government more than having something, you know, because they're going to be the thugs that look at Maduro. He can go and eat whenever he wants, you know. And if you're buddies with Maduro, you know, then you're in good shape. But I don't like the idea that people think or cheer on these nasty scenarios because they think they're going to get rich because they have gold or silver. I mean, look at China. People have been cheering on China. China's going to crush the dollar. China's got it. You know, the BRICS have had it. You know, I mean, China, you don't want to live in China. Social credit score, them tracking you around, facial recognition everywhere. They're going to give everyone a social credit score. The BRICS, you know, South Africa's in the BRICS. I mean, when people, they want to end the dollar, but what does end the dollar mean? And then use the Chinese yuan like you're going to be better off living under a system? I don't get any of that. So I've never viewed that you should buy gold or silver for when the Chinese crush the dollar, and that doesn't make any sense to me. All right, but if the whole world is Venezuela, you got bigger problems of wealth. That's exactly right. That's my point. This idolization of a scenario when the world collapses and somehow you have a monster box of silver eagles and you're gonna own the world, I don't think is correct. I think there's too much adulation of gold and silver that they're somehow, you know, silver bullets, or, you know, they're magic bullets that they're going to save you and the world. They're not. I mean, it didn't save anyone. It might have saved people in Venezuela, again, to not starve or to get out, but I think if you could have told those people, let's go back to Venezuela the way it was 20 years ago, and you just don't, and instead of the way you are now with your silver, I think they would take the way it was 20 years ago when they could lead a normal life. All right. Thank you very much indeed. And we will see you guys tomorrow night. And maybe some new people. Bring a friend. Thank you.